And action. Hey, it's Andrew Priestley. Got my glasses on my head. It's Andrew Priestley, and welcome to Multiply Your Money. And this is episode number 13, and I'm outside having a cup of tea. And Kit Kat, but don't tell anybody, okay? So in the last section, I'm reading from the Money Chimp, how to spend less, save more, and get out of debt faster. In the last section, or the last episode, I gave you the top 3 money managing tips, and they were spend less than you earn, plan for the future, and make money, make more money. And I've talked a little bit about spending less than you earn. I've talked a little bit about. So the next one that I want to talk about is money tip number 2, plan for the future. Right? Here's the cartoon. I drew the cartoons. Okay. And you can tell them outside because you can hear trailers and planes and all sorts of stuff. This is the key point that just about every money management book I read and every course I did said the same thing, that it makes sense to plan for future financial needs. The thing is that the future can be the immediate future or it can be the long-term future. So most people, when they say plan for the future, we think about things like pensions and ISAs and things like that. And I'm not here to give you financial advice or investment advice. If you want financial advice and investment advice, it's a good thing to talk to an IFA or your accountant. Okay, that's beyond the scope of what we're doing here, right? But let me just talk about, firstly, I've got things like I've got a pension, and I've got I think there's the mandatory pension scheme, being a UK business, and also I've got national insurance, but I've also got ISAs. I've also put money aside into ISAs as well, right? And I'm planning for the long-term future, but the immediate future is the one I wanted to talk about today, just to give you a couple of tips. So how do I do it? Well, firstly, I worked out how much I spend every year just running my business, and I worked out how much I spend just running my household. So I know what it costs me every year in things like rates, mortgages, utilities, food shopping, fuel, that sort of stuff. And I've got that averaged out. And so I know, more importantly, I know what it costs me per month on average to run my home, for example. I'll just talk about home for the moment. It costs me, I know what it works out per month. And the way I plan for the future is that I have set aside cash reserves. When you live in the country, tractors, okay? I put aside cash reserves and I've slowly built them up. So I've got at least 3 months worth of living expenses in cash, and it covers off contingencies like if my business was quiet for a month or two. Well, I don't have to panic because I've got that. I've planned for that immediate future. So I've got at least a quarter's worth of expenses in cash reserves, in buffer, okay? And I've got that for the business as well. And my recommendation is figure out what does it cost you to run your household a day, per week, per month, whatever it is, and then try and put cash reserves aside so that you've got a month's worth of living expenses in cash. Then build it up to 2 months, then 3 months, then 4 months, then 5 months, then 6 months. Some people who've been on the Money Chimp, read the Money Chimp, have come back to me and said they now have a year's worth of living expenses in cash reserves. That's planning for the future. You want to add into that too and money for emergencies. So I figured that I need about £3,000 set aside just to cover off emergencies that I've had. Now, £3,000 more than would cover off repairing or replacing a boiler, right? It would also cover things like new tyres for a car or dental treatments, emergency dental treatments. But it's an emergency fund. So in addition to having 3 months worth of living expenses in cash reserves, I've also got a little emergency fund there as well. Now, I know people who don't think about the future. They know it's there, and their contingency plan is credit card. But if you get the perfect storm of you've got a credit card debt and then you lose your job or your business goes quiet and you can't get clients, you're in trouble. So you can see, to actually build up cash reserves means that you've got to know, what are my outgoings, but importantly, what do I spend? So spending less enables you to save more and put that money into cash reserves. Now, you might build up such a surplus where you can take a portion of that and invest it. Again, talk to your IFA about that. There's legitimate ways to take money out of your business. I think if you own your own business and you're a director, you're allowed to take a director's drawing and put it into a pension, and it goes into a tax-free vehicle. But you need to talk to your IFA about that, or your accountant, about the best way to set that up. But the general point is plan for the future, and there's two ways: plan for the long-term future, but also plan for the short-term, immediate future. There's Donna, there's Niall, and there's Paul. Hey, welcome, guys. So start thinking about those things. Now, it begs the question, do I know what my outgoings are? And the best way to do that is start looking at your bank statements. Start collecting receipts for everything. But figure it out. Look at what your routine bills are. What do you pay in rates? What do you pay in utilities? What do you pay in insurances? Get those figures, and it'll either be per month, or it'll be per quarter, or it'll be annually. And get all those figures worked out so that you can then calculate what are my outgoings per month. Now, this is one of the principles that that Diana Matthew talked about. Figure out what your outgoings are per month, and make sure you've got money to cover your outgoings. But then once you start the money managing process, the goal then is to build up surplus and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of overheads in cash reserves. This is on Facebook. There's a group called Multiply Your Money. Please make sure that you go and join that group, because there's a lot of goodies inside there. There's also a sister group on LinkedIn, Multiply Your Money. It's on there as well. And all the videos are on YouTube. And please, by all means, go and look at the videos on YouTube, and please subscribe. I'd love it if you subscribe. The more people who subscribe, the more people who get to hear about this. I'm working through the book, The Money Chimp. If you haven't got hold of The Money Chimp, make sure you get a copy of that. Inside those groups is a link so you can take the Money Chimp quiz. If you do it outside the group, you've got to pay for it. It's about £25, $50. But if you go inside that group, you can do that quiz for free. Okay, so that's some goodies and treats in there. Plus, there's stuff that's not going to show up anywhere else inside those groups. So just make sure that you're doing that. Hey, and I want to say thanks for tuning in, because the little group's growing. It's really, really starting to grow, and people are watching the videos, people are buying the book, and it's a tenner, and it'll change your life. Hey, talk to you soon. See ya.